Speech by Jimmy and Nguyen.
My name is actually pronounced more like Nguyen because in America, people really can't pronounce the Nguyen. And I've spent my whole life and career helping to build worlds of Nguyen. And I really learned at an early age that to build new worlds with technology, construction, whatever it is we're doing in business, you need to respect law and order. So I'm here with my time to talk to you about how there's a force in the blockchain and cryptocurrency world that actually wants to comply with law and not be one of the renegades who believe that blockchain technology is intended to disrupt law. I learned about this from a very early age because I respected law. My father was a judge in Vietnam before my family had to flee Saigon the night before Saigon fell in 1975. So growing up in the United States, I always thought about being a lawyer and actually became one, graduating in the mid-1990s during the height of the dot-com boom in Silicon Valley. I practiced in Los Angeles, and my entire career has been driven by using new technology in a way that builds upon and respects law. And when I found the world of Bitcoin and blockchain in about 2010, 2011, one of the things that struck me is not the narrative you hear, that Bitcoin is designed to take down central banks and take down government. Instead, if you actually read the Bitcoin white paper, you will see that the word honest is used 15 times. Honest is used 15 times. It's designed to create an honest system. And it does so by creating a public ledger of transactions across history that we can all see and verify. And in fact, the Bitcoin white paper does not even use the word blockchain. Instead, it calls it a distributed timestamp server. Time-stamping events in history, me sending you a Bitcoin, or me passing title of a car to you, or passing title of an NFT to you, stamping it across time so that we can all verify. This is how blockchain technology roots itself in the ability to create honesty, law, compliance, by creating this public ledger. So today, I want to give you 5 quick examples of business projects and ventures I'm working with across the world that actually use this concept of technology to actually help with compliance and law. First, AML and KYC compliance. It's a huge burden for exchanges and digital asset service providers. And here in Dubai, VARA, the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, the first in the world, has released rule books, requirements telling vast digital asset service providers what they have to report in terms of every transaction of digital assets that go in and out of their exchange. To help that, I'm advising my friends in the United States with a company called BlockTrace, which provides advanced crypto AML solutions. So they have a very unique product and system which they've been designing, which is ideal for regulatory authorities like VARA, called Fusion, where they take data and feeds from the companies you see on the right, the analytics companies, the blockchain data companies from Coinbase, Chainalysis, Elliptic. They fuse it together, and then they will report it to the authorities, to exchanges, whoever you need, in a comprehensive risk score. So for example, if you were a virtual asset service provider, you would take data that they gather from the blockchain into Fusion from these other analytics companies, and then create a risk composite score with a browser plugin that investigators can look at and see for every Bitcoin or every digital asset address, what is the type of problem associated with it, was it on a sanctions list, and an actual risk score. So here, all the risk scores are the same from the different providers, and that is common, but what is also common is when people don't have the same risk score. These analytics companies get different pools of data. So in this example, their risk scores could be different for that address. So what the Fusion product does is compiles all of that data with their own analytics and reports a composite risk score for the exchange or regulatory authority to see. So by combining all this data, it creates hopefully a more comprehensive Fusion view of the world. How can this use blockchain in the future? Well, they're considering time-stamping those risk scores because the risk scores can change depending on what happens out with the addresses. So if you time-stamp a risk score, you can verify when someone makes a decision based upon that address at a certain date and time. You can also time-stamp on the blockchain what data sets were used to generate that risk score. They can also use machine learning to analyze the transfer amounts and actually report high risk patterns to the authorities. So that's a great example of using blockchain to advance compliance. I'm also looking at doing this in the online advertising industry, where I'm helping launch an entire new blockchain division of an existing advertising tech company based out of Thailand that we're looking to move actually to Vietnam. The new company will be called Block ID, and it's trying to improve the digital advertising ecosystem by creating on the blockchain a universal source of truth, an auditable ledger to help solve two key problems in the advertising industry. One is attribution, second is consumer privacy. We will be reporting on a dashboard to advertisers, the biggest brands in the world. A key question: when you click on an ad and some advertiser pays an ad network or a publisher for your CPM, that conversion, what was the last site you went to that should get paid and credited for converting you to click? There's huge debates about that in the advertising industry. And by using blockchain technology, we can report the chain of history of people's travel across sites and therefore lead hopefully to less disagreement between the advertisers, the ad networks, and the publishers about who should get paid for the attribution. So for example, a dashboard will be able to report the differences in what Google Ads, Facebook, LinkedIn conversions are. We'll report our numbers, which can be verified on a publicly time-stamped blockchain, and the advertisers can argue if they want over whether they should get refunds or credits for under or over-reporting of ad attribution. The same thing can be diagrammed in this chart so you can see whether the numbers you're getting from Google Analytics are higher or lower than what is the true state of affairs. And on the privacy front, we all opt in to those cookies all the time on websites, and we want the sites to respect our privacy. But do we know whether or not they're actually sharing the data to third parties against our will? Well, by our blockchain-based system, what we'll be able to do is log on a publicly time-stamped ledger all of the access to data that companies have about you and whether or not they're shared beyond the permissions that you have granted, therefore encouraging more privacy by public time-stamping of events in history. So that is leading me to my next example, which is using blockchain for due diligence in the financial system. I'm joining the board and will be chairman of a company based here in Dubai called InvoiceMate, which uses blockchain to speed up the tracking of invoices so that you don't have to call and say, hey, I sent you my invoice, did you pay it or not? Well, the bigger task for this is actually powering an invoice financing solution where SMEs, small, medium enterprises, want to get access to cash faster, and banks will sometimes lend them money against their unpaid invoices. But the banks don't want to go through the pain of due diligence to verify the invoices are accurate and real. So, using blockchain technology, through the journey of tracking the invoice across time, we are powering a solution to help banks shorten the time of due diligence from 30 days to maybe 2 or 3 days because they can trust the tracking of the journey of the invoices on our blockchain system and therefore loan money to SMEs, starting with 3 partner banks in Pakistan to help SMEs get access to cash faster because due diligence is better done with blockchain. And of course, we can't stop without talking about the metaverse. It's taking over all of everyone's imaginations. And one of the things the metaverse can do is not just entertain, it can allow us to have service centers, which InvoiceMate is also creating, where government authorities, as well as private businesses, can have you as a customer come into this metaverse and complete tasks such as applying for a travel visa, going to get your tickets verified for a particular event in the metaverse. And while it's not ready for this yet, we're envisioning a future world where we partner with banks and other financial institutions to do compliance in the metaverse in a much more real way, another way where this technology helps the world. Finally, I am partnering with 2 partners in London on a major project which is involving real estate. We're building physical metaverse complexes across 5 global cities, starting in London. The second one will be here in the UAE, then Singapore, Sydney, Miami. For the London site, we already have $100 million committed from our investment fund working with us to build a complex rooted with metaverse theaters that have technology to better combine the physical and virtual worlds, that will have live events, education. We'll also have production studios, volumetric camera studios for 360-degree filming and projection, and most importantly, a metaverse academy to educate a whole new generation of professionals like you creative and business people. And as part of that academy, I intend, given my legal background, to drive policy and legal education in the metaverse. Not just learning in the metaverse, but really evaluating what are the policy issues we have to confront as the world moves to this immersive digital environment. So using the platforms I have to really drive this world of win. So this is the world we're going to end up in the future, where everything is digitally twinned, everything is virtual. As we build these new worlds of win, I encourage all of you to not be afraid of law, to not be afraid of compliance, but to think about how the projects and technology you work with can actually help compliance and help build these worlds of win, to create the world Satoshi Nakamoto really wanted, a world of honesty, a world that my father, now 87 years old, still living in Los Angeles, would encourage you to think about as he thought about when he brought our family to the United States and encouraged me to become a lawyer. And while I do not practice law anymore, I firmly want to use every opportunity I and we have to build these new worlds of win. Building is something that humans have always been interested in doing. We've built monuments to the sky. We've built places to gather. We've built walls to protect. We build places to worship, places to be entertained. We build gifts to friends. We build statues of liberty. We build towers of business. We build bridges and highways that connect us. We build architecture that inspires, escalating marketplaces. We build dreams to the future. And then we build technology with music that's come in, new ways to compute, new mediums to broadcast. We build new methods to send and transmit information. We build a truly global network. We build new methods to pay, new value to data, new ways to conduct commerce, and create a global marketplace. And along the way, we can all do this with heart, with the ability to win, with the ability to drive compliance as we connect the world, everyone, everything, in a dazzling array of digital services. We can build a greener, better tomorrow, one where cities, communities, and worlds are smarter, more automated, and all driven by the path to a world that is honest, respecting law, and the order of a new world of win.